This is Kind Counseling on the Ave podcast with your host Cammy Roberts, Fred Charles, who's out, Danya, the Queen Danya, and me, D. Sean Devontae. Let's go.
All right. So we just want to welcome any new listeners that we have today. Kind Counseling. For those of you who don't know, we are a mental health organization where we help people with family counseling, marriage counseling. We work with teenagers, young children, and basically we try to help people to maintain their sanity and to kick the stigma of mental health services in the Black community. So we just want to welcome you guys to the program, and but before we introduce our special guest, how's everybody been? How's everything going?
Good, man. We good, man.
Everything's good?
Yeah, you know we like to run through some things.
Yeah. Well, listen, we got Mother's Day coming up. You guys got plans? No plans?
Y'all better.
Well,
Y'all better, right.
Yep. What would a mother want? What would be the ultimate gift a mother would want for Mother's Day?
I would say a day to herself.
Okay.
But, okay, so maybe that day, a nice day out with the family.
Okay.
But then also give us a day to ourselves.
Okay.
That's
like the works.
So it should be Mother's Days.
Mother's Days.
Okay, there we go.
Mother's Days.
We're going to promote that. We're going to promote
so
that.
like spa treatment,
right.
just send us somewhere alone. A weekend away where we can.
A weekend.
A weekend would be nice.
Not a day, a weekend.
A weekend away would be nice,
I like
yes.
that.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind a weekend away by myself.
Okay. By yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
by myself.
Don't need no husband, right? Okay, good.
All right.
Just me, myself, and I.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that.
Right.
Little me time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope your husband's hearing this.
He is.
So, it's almost the unofficial, beginning of summer. Almost the spring.
Right.
It's getting warm now. You guys got plans? Anything going on? What are we doing? Anybody got anything going on?
A lot of trips.
Trips.
All
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Getting the kids off to summer activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer camps.
Yeah.
Jobs now. All that
Yeah.
stuff.
Jobs.
Okay.
Yes. Jobs.
Money.
There you
No
go.
more camp.
There you go.
Jobs.
I like
Yes.
that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, listen. So we're gonna get into this podcast today. We got a special guest, like we said, Mr. Colin Moe.
All
Welcome.
right. Yes. Welcome.
Mr. Moe. All right.
Yes.
All right. So let me just
Oh, it's
give him,
Mr. Moe?
Yes. Let me give him a brief intro before we jump in here.
Okay.
So Colin, he was born in Trinidad, not Tobago, just Trinidad. Just Trinidad.
And Tobago, but right now it's Trinidad.
Okay.
Right.
Trinidad.
So Colin, you came to New York when you were about 9 years old. And then,
Correct.
Then you moved to Houston.
Yes.
So when you were a teenager, and then you came back to New York as an adult.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. So excuse me. So you it says here that you graduated from Baruch College.
Correct.
All right.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. With a bachelor's in industrial and organizational psychology and a minor in finance and investments.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. And you worked at several large financial firms.
Correct. Yeah.
And
In the city. Yeah.
in the city.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and then eventually you transitioned into fitness and personal training.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, tell us a little bit about how did you get started with fitness, personal training. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Well, as far as the formative years, when we moved from New York to Texas, so right there in Texas, very young age, I got involved in things like such as boxing, swimming, tennis, a lot of different sports, basketball, football. But the main event to me was really track and field. So
Right.
I got really involved in track and field, and I was able to qualify for the state track meet in Texas.
Really?
In 110-meter hurdles, and ran a little bit in college, University of Houston. So based on that, I transitioned. We moved back to New York when I in school, and just left fitness alone for a little while.
Okay.
It was just really just trying to grow the family, live, and do different things. But my passion was always fitness. So I went through a few layoffs, within the financial industry.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I went back to my passion. I got certified as a strength and conditioning coach, personal training,
All right.
running coach. And that transitioned me back into fitness. And I really started working with people to help them really just reach their goals on fitness and just really be healthy in that respect. So that was my full circle, coming back to fitness, when I started earlier.
Real quick, did anything happen that made you come back to fitness? Like, certain people have like a down spill and then they find their passion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Did any of that happen, or it just came naturally? Like, you know what? It just kept calling you.
Well, it was always there,
Right.
but the main thing really was the financial markets went down. So there was lots of layoffs. I was laid off 3 times from different firms. So, and then the business was really shrinking, and I was like, wow, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Right.
But the fitness was always there. So
Right.
I always ran, and I said, look, let's take it to another level. Let's get certified.
Okay.
Let's start working with clients.
Right.
And make this happen. So that's how I really got back into it.
So this is around the time of the housing crisis, like that?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Subprime markets went down.
Right.
Housing crisis, a whole bunch of things started going on.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So if you hadn't gotten laid off, do you think you'd still be working in the financial industry, or would you have still pursued your passion?
Well, yeah, that's a good question.
Right.
I believe I would have pursued it on the side.
Okay.
But the funds were lucrative
Right.
in that industry. So when you just got tired of getting your heart broken, so to speak, and working, things like that,
Right.
I just transitioned really into this. But I would have on the side, I believe.
Okay.
And eventually, if just transition. Because the industry, as good as it is, and I loved it,
Right.
but it's tough to be in at times.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's where I
Definitely.
am.
So now that you made the transition to certified personal trainer.
Certified.
Certified, right? You're not getting someone on the side.
Now I'm certified.
Right. So what are some of the challenges of being a personal trainer?
You know what? It's really having people stick to task, and motivation is one thing.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
we go through some motivational interviewing on really to understand what the needs are, because
Okay.
people come to you for they have different needs,
Right.
right, and some come to learn just a little bit and then move on, and others are really just they want this to become a lifestyle. You know, so
All right.
for me, it's important that fitness becomes a lifestyle, physically, mentally, emotionally. It really just helps everything in that respect. So that's one of the challenges I have. The other challenges is really just to it got better just to create, because what you have now, you have people coming to you with different strengths and different weaknesses. So you have to really be detailed and create something that's going to fit the need of that individual. All right, it's just not like one size fits all.
Right.
I mean, some
Right,
people
yeah.
actually do that.
Right.
But now you have to really sit down, understand your craft, and hone it, and say, hey, you know what? This is what's going to happen, and this is how we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are some of the ways that you motivate people? Like, let's say you have a client that's, in a slump and they don't want to do the exercises anymore so much, or, maybe they're not eating the way they're supposed to. What would you do to motivate them?
Well, I mean, the thing about it, training to me should be fun. Right, it's not always fun. Yeah. Because
Should be.
it should be, and you try to make it really light. So there's conversations in between. There's certain emails or text messages or certain things I sent to them with little encouragements.
Okay.
Okay.
To keep them going in that respect. Also, we may have what I call a cheat day.
Right.
And a cheat day, it's not so much with the food, but it's so more with the fitness, where it's not the same thing all the time. We just we really get you moving more,
Right.
because there's so many different exercises that you can do.
So
And-
a cheat day, they're exercising more?
they're exercising in a different way.
In a
Like, for
different
instance, if we're used to, I'll give you an example that you guys may know as well. Some people are in what they work on body parts like chest, back on a certain day, or chest, buys, or what have you on specific days. So within that, we may do some what I call dynamic movements with some medicine ball work or different things, just to really just get your mind engaged in what you're doing.
Okay.
You know, so I call it a cheat day because
Right.
it takes you away from really what you normally do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now,
So,
I'm sorry. I got a question. Is food more important to the fitness? Because a lot of people say that, you know, you see a lot of people at the gym, but they're not eating right, so they won't get the results that they want because they're
Right.
not eating right.
Right.
Because, like, come on, I can't say I run a mile on a treadmill, but then as soon as I'm done, I'm going to KFC to get the biscuits and waffles.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
You know,
right.
so
Right.
so is nutrition more important than the fitness, or is fitness more important than the nutrition?
Well, you know what? I think they there's a connection.
Right.
They work in tandem.
Right, they will.
You know, food is definitely important.
Right.
You know, if you want to keep on track, if you want to really just make a difference in the way you feel and the way you look, if you want to fuel your system, right, to continue going, whether you're in the gym, at work, or just with kids or out with your friends or playing, food is definitely important. You have to eat the right things, you know,
Right.
complex carbs, a few other things. The way I look at it, because a lot of people now are, well, they used to be a lot more, I guess, calorie counting,
Right.
or carbs, right?
Right.
Right.
Carbs to me, depending on what activity you're in, carbs is like the gas that keeps you going,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Now, if you look at like the essential fatty acids, those things are going to help as well. But now you have electrolytes, which I believe I call them the oil, to lubricate your system, to keep it going in that respect. So when it comes to nutrition is very important because you need to have energy to keep going
Right.
in what you're
Okay.
doing, whether you're in the gym or out of the gym. But also now you need some electrolytes to just lubricate your system and go over the long haul. But it definitely is important. You know, that's something that I stress with the clients, whether you try to keep them on track,
Right.
but it's definitely important.
So do you do meal plans too?
I don't do meal plans per se because
Okay.
I'm not a certified nutritionist, but
Okay.
there are some plans or there's a guideline that I give them and we adhere to. I mean, I
Okay.
could recommend a few things,
Right.
Okay.
you know, because you can do that, but there's a fine line. You want to cross that line.
Okay.
You know? So I can give them, hey, you know what, breakfast, these are some things we can eat.
Mm-hmm.
Lunch, snacks, you know, dinner, you know, and everything is like keto now. So that's a whole, that's a whole
So what's a good meal, or I don't know if you would say a meal, but what's a good thing to eat before you exercise?
Well, you know what? If you're going hard, right? Let's say, for instance, but it depends on what time you wake up,
Right.
Right. If you're going hard, I'd say you probably would eat about an hour or 2 hours before you do a major exercise. However,
Okay.
but if it's like 10 or 5 minutes before, you can eat a banana,
Right.
a slice of toast, or something like in that respect, but nothing too heavy,
Okay.
especially if it's right before.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then afterwards you could go in, right?
You have to go. You have to go in. You have to go in, right?
Wait, so you said
Not KFC though.
No.
We talked about,
oh
right?
man. So you said something about complex carbs. What's the difference?
Well, you know what? Complex have a way of making your energy last longer over a period of time, right?
Okay.
And it keeps your blood sugar stabilized.
Okay.
You know, so it's a lot better than just having a regular carb. You know, complex carbs. You know, you're talking about like your sweet potatoes, all these different things, and that it has fiber and stuff in there.
Okay.
Exactly.
As opposed to like rice or
Exactly.
something like that.
Exactly.
Because rice is a regular carb.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Gotcha.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
All right.
good to know.
That's
Yeah.
good to know.
So all right. So I mean, obviously, you know, we do mental health counseling here, right?
Yes.
So a lot of the clients struggle with depression.
Yes.
So one of the things that I always do is I recommend them to try to go to the gym, you know, a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, which also help fight off depression. Is that something that you can speak to a little bit, just in terms of how exercise is beneficial to somebody's mental health?
Well, you know, I mean, as far as being beneficial to mental health, we talk about endorphins. You know, endorphins really just give you euphoria, so to speak. It gives you energy. Has a whole different thing. So, I believe when you start challenging the body, you know, it helps blood flow. You know, which of course, you know, somehow it trickles up to the heart through the mind or what have you.
Okay.
So the exercise reduces stress. You know,
Okay.
definitely reduces stress. I mean, some people box, some people run, some people, you know, lift heavy.
Right.
Some people do a lot of different reps. So it definitely relieves stress. Also, I've seen it curb anxiety, even in me.
Wow.
You know, because sometimes, you know, if you're anxious about something or you just feel, you can go exercise, you go out for a run, you go lift some weights, you go to the gym, because now you're in a totally different atmosphere than the atmosphere you were in before. You know, you might see other people, you might see the great outdoors, you might do a few different things. So to me, it goes hand in hand, or it plays into really just clearing you and giving you more focus and helping with your mental health.
Yeah,
I mean, that's good because, especially amongst black people or Caribbean people, like the fear is always like being sent to the psychiatrist to be put on drugs.
Right.
So my policy is always, let's try other things first before we even get to that point.
Right.
Meaning, if you can't get out of bed, you know, to go to work, then that's one thing.
Right.
But you know, let's try other things before, like exercise or, you know, eating differently or whatever it might be, before we just go straight to like medication. So, you know, I mean, I think it's really good that you could say that it curbs anxiety. I didn't even know that.
Right.
I knew about the
it
conversion
definitely
part.
helps. You know, it definitely helps as, you know, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
As well as it goes hand in hand. You know, eventually when you start seeing some results or feeling better, it boosts your self-esteem. You know,
This is true.
so what happens? You know, you have someone who might, you know, I'm not talking about something really, really deep, because, you know, you do need to see a mental health professional,
Right.
you know, if there's something going on. But I just believe that eventually, as you continue to exercise and work with your body and just sweat and get it out, it does help your self-esteem at some point.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. So currently, where you know, just in terms of contacting you, like where are you right now? Like you work at a gym, like you're doing your own thing, like
Yeah,
what are you
it's-
doing right now?
It's a combination.
Okay.
You know, right now, I mean, I have an Instagram. I'm rebuilding a few things. So
Okay.
it's Momentum Fitness. That's MOE. Not the regular momentum. 'Cause
Yes.
so it's
Okay,
MOE Mentum. So Momentum Fitness.
Right.
All right,
Got it.
fitness. Okay, all right. We gotta check that
On
out.
IG, yeah.
All right,
As
okay,
well.
and
Yeah, I also consulted a local gym.
okay,
Okay.
all right,
Okay.
okay. So other thing I wanted to ask you, what was it like going from the business world to the fitness world? Because that seems like you know, when you think white collar, when you think, you know, high stress, a lot of rules, regulations, and then you go to fitness and it's kind of, you're in sweatpants and t-shirts. I mean, like, what was that whole transition like for you?
Yeah, well, I like to call it like the transition from finance to fitness, and it was challenging.
Okay.
It was, because, you know, it was a totally different market altogether. The business side, what was exciting about it is I was involved in something new and something different, and I really wanted to hone my skills in that respect. But the challenge was to the white collar now, and you know, if you want to call it the prestige or what have you, of working in a particular environment and going to dinners and doing a few traveling and stuff. Now to like, okay, you know what? T-shirt, love it. Nice T-shirt, whatever, you know, and this, and now going into a local establishment where, you know, I had the opportunity to work in some nice places, so you really saw some nice equipment and different things like that. But it really was challenging for me, because now I was out on my own, you know, really trying to do things differently, and just the mindset of, you know, what's going to happen here? How is this going to, you know, you've been doing finance for, you know, 15 plus years, and you know it, and now you're going into a different industry. You know, how are you going to be received there? What market are you going to make? So I had to really just work a lot on my self-esteem. My family was very helpful in supporting.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
the kids were the kids. They did what we, you know, they really
Just go with it, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So it was tough.
Okay.
It really was a challenge. It's not as anytime you're changing industries, it can be tough. But you know what? I've learned a lot, and I found it to be very rewarding. You know, just a transition. I've learned a lot, and I would have done a few things differently, but overall, I think it's great.
You at peace.
Yes, I am.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
nice word.
That's what it sounds like.
right.
That's what it sounds like, right? I'm at peace now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had a couple questions as well. So, have you ever had any situations where, because I go to the gym about 2 or 3 times a week. No, 3 times a week, at least 3 times a week. Now, what I found is that despite the workouts, I don't feel like I'm seeing the results. You know, or I shouldn't say I'm not seeing them. I'm not seeing them as quickly as I would like.
Okay.
So, can you speak to, like, you know, the foods that we're eating nowadays, if you think that they contribute to people retaining weight?
That is true.
I don't know if you can, you know, speak on that, but sometimes I feel like there's something in the food.
Right.
That's
It ain't
like,
you. It ain't you.
It's not me.
It's the food now. Dude, I work out for 20 minutes, but I eat for 2 hours.
Hello. No, I do Zumba.
Uh-huh.
And I do like
Yes,
a cross training class on another day. So it's high intensity.
Right.
Very high intensity. But you know, I mean, I'm sure it has something to do with age as well. But I just feel like there's, you know, something in the food, like that's just, I don't know. What can you say? Can you speak on that?
Well, you know what? I love these situational
Right.
questions, you know?
Situational to me.
I like that. It's not A, B. It's like I got a situation.
Yes, I have a situation. Yes.
So let's try to talk to the situation.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know, I mean, definitely the food has changed. You know, I think we all know that. You know, from the way it used to be. But I also think, well, I know that our lifestyle has changed also. So there are things like not getting enough rest. Could be possibly one thing. When you talk about food, people have to look at are they eating what they call clean. You know, everything, like for instance, I tend to only get my fruits that are organic. Right.
Okay.
The other, you know, certain vegetables you might be able to back off on them, but my fruits specifically are organic fruits.
Okay.
Now, combined with people's different makeup, there could be some hormonal issues that stop people from either losing weight or bulking up, depending on what's going on. I mean, a registered dietitian can really speak to those things.
Okay.
But definitely it's the food. I think we're not getting enough rest. The pollutants in the air. There's a whole bunch of different things. But all that being said, now you're in the gym. Okay, life is what it is. Now I'm in the gym. You know, I lost 10 pounds. Now I'm stuck.
Right. Yeah.
Right. There might be an issue where you might have to look at your routine and change it up. Right. Now, if you're busy, you can't add on to it. Right. But there is something that where you might be able to speak with someone and change up your routine. I don't know how long. Let's say, for instance, how long you're doing Zumba, how long you're doing the strength and conditioning classes, but there are different variations of things that can work for you. And you might get involved in some spin classes if you like that.
Okay.
You know, you might go on a specific. I'm going to, because there are things where people do intermittent fast.
Yeah.
You have to research these things though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you fast specific ways, or you eat certain things, and it really gets to the fat cells, so to speak, and it works on that. So you know what? If you're doing the same things, you will get some results. But if you want to change the way you want to change some things, you may have to look at what I'm doing and change it in that respect.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it said like your body plateaus after you do a certain exercises for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So that's like what, 6 months, 3 months?
No,
a
I
year?
mean it's less than that, and it depends on the individual.
Really?
You know, I mean, some people can their muscles can get used to anything between, let's say, 3 to 6 weeks. And what I mean get used to it, like, you know, if I'm lifting 50 pounds,
Right.
you know, just 50 pounds 3 weeks straight,
Right.
you know, I'd say by the third week, you know, I need to increase that. I need to do specific things.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
so you
Like challenge your body.
you have to
Right,
look
you have
at
to
it.
look at it.
You have to look at it. And I think one thing is, which is very important. I mean, there are a lot of things on YouTube
Okay.
and Instagram and Facebook. There's a lot about everything, fitness, counseling in certain respects. But be careful what you look at.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow specific things, but be really careful. I think
Okay.
at some point you need to talk to somebody and just get some insight on what's going on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I have another situation.
Okay.
Number 2.
Okay.
Question number 2.
Okay.
So I'd like to hear from you. How can someone work out, like as they're getting older, to avoid injury to you know, the body? Because I find a lot of things that are you know, that I do in the gym, like afterwards I'll feel pain.
Okay.
You know, and so I'm trying to figure out how I can still go with the same intensity and not hurt myself.
Okay.
Oh, these are very interesting, specific questions.
Yes.
It's
Situational.
like, forget you guys. We gotta figure out what's going on here.
Because I think working out is different for men than it is for women.
I mean, it can be.
Yeah.
I mean, there are studies that show it is different based on
Right.
certain things.
Yeah. Like I'll have people tell me at the gym, oh, you got to lift weights, you got to lift a lot of weights, but lifting weights doesn't yield the result that I want.
Okay.
So I try not to lift heavy, you know. So, and then there are some things that I'll do that I realize hurts, you know. So I don't want to do that because I don't feel like working out should hurt.
No, it's. But let me ask you this: when you say hurt, I mean, is this the point where it hurts at the moment you're lifting out? You're lifting up, or the day
after, like days after, I'm still feeling pain. Like I don't want to have to pop pills just because I exercise.
Right.
You know, so and I know a lot of people that tell me that they do that. Like they're in so much pain afterwards that they're taking a leave and all this kind of stuff to. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out how can I work out, give the same intensity to my workouts, but not, you know, injure myself.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's specifically. We'll have to get in a little more details, but I'll give you a general answer. If you want the same intensity, right? I'm not sure how many days you go into the gym or how many days anyone else goes to the gym, but if you want the same intensity, you're gonna have to pull back and rest sometimes. So, for instance, if you feel like, hey, I worked out, you know, and I'm a little bit of pain, of course you probably do pull back. You minus the Advil or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I
but
pulled back for like a week.
Exactly. Right.
Never going back.
Right.
It's over. You know? That gym membership
Injury,
is like,
I'm done.
No, I pull back.
He gonna lump me the way
Sometimes
I
I
am.
have to take a week off. Like I'll take a week off because I'm in a lot of pain.
right.
Okay.
Well, possibly, from what it sounds like, you're going a little bit too hard.
Okay.
I mean, so what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with being intense or
Right.
intentional about what you do, but you also have to know that, you know, if your body's changing or if you're not used to a specific thing, you have to dial it back a little bit.
Okay.
Also, a lot of people don't really get involved in flexibility and stretching and what they call it foam rolling or different things, because that really helps loosen up, and it goes back to the whole thing about what you're eating. You know, the fatty acids to to really lubricate the system and the joints and ligaments. So you'll probably have to dial back a little bit, but also incorporate some stretching. Hydration is extremely important, you know, because hydration with water, that really helps the muscles in that respect. So those are a few answers.
Okay. All right.
You know,
Good
the
to
quick
know.
and fast ones. So
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Making
good,
mental
that's good.
notes. Yeah.
So all right. So listen. Anything you before we wrap up today's podcast? Anything you want to add? Any information you want to share? Anything you want to give to the audience before we wrap up?
No, you know what? I love fitness,
Okay.
and I like to be able to just work with people to help reach their goals and make it healthier goals. But as you mentioned earlier, to me there's a correlation between the total health, when your physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual. There's lots of benefits when it comes to fitness, and I believe in it. And you don't have to be if you want to call a gym rat. Sorry
Right,
for that word.
Right.
You know?
No, it's
But
okay.
if it's walking at the park, if it's swimming, if it's biking, it's you. I just want to make sure you're moving. You can get healthier and you stay focused, because life is to be lived and to really be enjoyed. And when you're physically fit, mentally fit, and other things, it just makes a difference in the way you live while we're here on earth.
Yeah.
So let's make the best of it, and I can help you.
Absolutely.
You know?
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have a card?
I do have a card.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
You can leave that with us.
So we're gonna make sure we put all your information on the on Instagram, as well as our Facebook page. So if people wanna contact Mr. Momentum Fitness, we have his information. So listen, we just want to thank you for coming out, man. We appreciate all the information. And please come back at a later date. Give us some more info.
All right.
This was
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.